Wow.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Adobe Tips and Tricks Tuesdays. My name is Valentina Vee. You saw a little preview of Carl there on the screen. He is with me too, Carl Sule from Adobe. But before we get into that, before we get into talking about productions with our guest Mary Betsy, I want to say a couple of things. First of all, I wrote a full PDF about everything you need to know about productions, how to organize your workflow, how to rename your files, and all that can be found at adobe.ly/tipstuesday. Second of all, if you can hear me, if you can see me, if everything's working, please let me know where you're watching from. And if I see a bunch of locations pop up in the chat room, that way I know that you can see me and you can hear me. Where are you watching from? What's going on in your life? I'd like to know. Also, this is the first time we've had such a complex stream with two guests and showing desktops and everything. So if something goes wrong, if there's a technical blip, it's expected. It's going to happen. I'm manning this whole thing by myself. So looks like someone's saying LA, Manchester, UK, so people can see me and hear me. Wonderful. I'd like to remind you again that you can always go to adobe.ly/tipstuesday or right here, adobe.ly/tipstuesday to get all of the info from today. But anyway, without any further ado, let me please introduce you to my two guests, Mary Betsy and Carl Sule. Hi, guys.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. You're on my screen right now. For those who don't know, let's just do some quick intros. I'll start with me and then go to Carl and then go to Mary. So, hi, everybody. I am a freelance director, cinematographer, editor in Los Angeles. I own my own production company, and I am an Adobe Max Master trainer, which means I teach Adobe programs to people all over the world. Carl?
Hi, my name's Carl Sule. I actually work for Adobe in the LA market. I focus on higher end film and television workflows. So anybody who works in the traditional space where the editor edits, the graphics artist makes graphics. There's a sound designer that might be in a different facility. I help to facilitate those workflows and kind of show not only how to use the tools inside of Creative Cloud, but how to effectively have a pipeline where you can send stuff out of Creative Cloud into other tools as necessary.
And just so you know, if you have any questions for us, please do leave them in the chat. I am monitoring the chat as we go, so we are so lucky to have Carl here to answer any of your questions. All right, Mary, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hey, y'all. I am Mary Betsy. My first name is Mary. My last name is Betsy. And I am a filmmaker, an editor, and a creative director. I live in San Francisco Bay Area. My husband and I own a production company. And of course, we make videos for startups, but also big companies that are here. I also teach filmmaking and particularly editing in Premiere Pro on the internet because I did not go to film school. And so I want to give back to people who may have, found some of the advantages and disadvantages of learning video online.
So yeah, Mary, you said you didn't go to film school. What did you originally want to do? Or how did that lead you to filmmaking?
So I originally studied journalism. I was like, I'm going to be in the middle of the action reporting the news. And I thought I was going to be a reporter, a writer, maybe a designer. I did not think I was going to do anything to do with a camera. I actually thought I sucked when it came to photography, but I was on student media. And one day we had like this last minute deadline and one of the photographers flaked. And so somebody had to fill in. I was like, okay, I'll make it work. And I looked back at the photos and I was like, I might not suck at this, okay? So then at the very end of my degree, there was like a 2-week crash course in video where we're bringing all our skills together in storytelling. And I was like, this is the hardest, but the coolest thing that I've ever done. And so after I graduated, I started freelancing, but then YouTube had just come out and there were all these blogs on filmmaking. So I just studied video on my own for another year and have been in love with it ever since.
I think it also really plays into journalism and what journalism is now that a lot of journalistic websites, a lot of newspapers, a lot of outlets are turning to video. And there's some things that are really helpful and some things that you have to kind of relearn. Like, for example, in journalism, you can't ever stage anything, right? Everything has to be supernatural. But in video, it's like, well, maybe it would look nice with crazy colorful lights in the background, stuff like that, right?
Absolutely. So, like I said, I thought I was going to go into news, but right when I graduated, Craigslist had come out, which was really cannibalizing the ad revenue that newspapers and news, online news TV shows could get. And so I was struggling to find a job that was as rewarding as far as like the hours and the benefits. So then I thought I'm going to transition these journalism school skills, the documentary skills, and do that with marketing. I think that's been really successful because people want more authentic marketing content. Like they can read right away if it's too scripted or fake. But I was trained like you never stage anything or it's unethical. And so I had to learn really fast, like I need to bring powder to the shoots. I need to make sure that the lighting is on point because that video can work well. But if the client is like not happy with what they saw on screen, they're not gonna be satisfied. They're not gonna come back.
And Carl, you had a similar intro, right? Except you're from a radio background.
Yeah, actually, I came from working in the audio production world of the fast-moving pace of radio. I used to do comedy segments and comedy bits, and also do commercial production. So it was the comedy bits were the most fascinating because I would get a script in the morning that would have crazy some kind of sound effect like sound of man swallowing bee that was related to a current event story. And it's like I would sit there with the stone knives and bearskins of tools that I had at the time to put these things together, and would always have to kind of just think on my feet and be really creative as far as coming up with how to make these things sound and create that theater of the mind. Mary, I just wanted to say, one of the things I found looking at one of your websites was the phrase celebrating ride or die love when it comes to the type of work that you like to do. I thought that was a wonderful description. You want to talk a little bit about where you came up with that or just what that means to you?
Yeah, so we have a few video businesses, and one of the ones that we've done is weddings because we had done so much client work and so much, corporate branding for a while. We're like, we're going to go opposite and we're going to do some personal stuff. And, we just want to film people who aren't worried about about what PR is going to say because they're drunk and happy and celebrating love. And so a lot of the wedding videos that we saw were very much like people wanting to do, the video version of glamour shots of themselves. And I'm like, that's nice. But I wanted to really show the documentary side of the weddings that we went to. And so ride or die is like, that's your person. Like you're going to roll with them for life. That is what weddings and that's what true love is about. And so, yeah, that was kind of our phrase that we're really going to show, keep it 100, when we're filming weddings.
So awesome. Yeah, Mary, you also then moved on to teaching about productions, teaching about editing, and I feel like that in itself was necessary because so many people want to learn how to edit. So many people are always asking you about editing things. So when you were like developing, okay, what is your editing style? What is your YouTube persona? How are you going to do this? How are you going to differentiate yourself? How are you going to make the editing tutorials? What are some things that you were thinking about for your own content, for your own channel?
For one thing, I know when I studied video online, like any tutorial that you're going into, the instructor has to make an assumption about what your skill level is. And so a lot of times I would go into a tutorial and they'd be referencing like masks before I knew what masks were. And so you're kind of teaching, a room full of 1st to 12th graders as far as skill level. And so I wanted to create a course where all of the skill building was cumulative. You were never going to have anything referenced that you didn't already know. There are courses out there like that, but I felt like they were a little dry for me. And so I wanted to make something that was really entertaining and compelling, so that you're actually going to stick with it. And also, I think there's a lot of individual brand owners that just want to make videos now. It's a totally different world, and you know, they want to get into that, and they want something better and more sophisticated than iMovie. But Premiere, there's a lot of panels going on. When you first get in, it's very intimidating, and so I wanted to break down that barrier.
I think you also have learned a lot from your background in journalism. Like, for example, you don't put your face in it for more than 10 seconds. You make sure that it's always about the content. You add graphics, you add things that help show people. It's not just a dry, this is a voiceover and my entire screen. You zoom in, you do graphics, you add GIFs, you insert humor. GIFs? Who's on Team GIF? Who's on Team GIF? Oh, okay, we're all Team GIF here. You do a lot, and I think that really helps differentiate you. And like, as long as you keep doing that, that's gonna pay off. Carl, could you give us a little intro? Tell us a little bit about productions within Premiere Pro. What is productions? Why would a YouTuber like Mary use it? Because I know that you said that it was developed with professional filmmakers in mind, with people who have large crews. It was used on Deadpool. What are some advantages for YouTubers?
Yeah, absolutely. The origins of productions kind of got their start with Deadpool, in that we saw some of the challenges of the day with the way Deadpool was being cut, and that rolled into some new features that were added for a film called Only the Brave, and then that led to even more additional developments on films like Dolomite Is My Name on Netflix, and finally with Terminator Dark Fate, we were able to really see, how to handle and how to manage just large amounts of media and a large amount of timelines. It's always been possible to create one project and stick a lot of stuff in that single project, but it starts to take longer to open. It starts to take longer to kind of dig around and find stuff within that. So a lot of people use multiple projects. And while it's possible to organize things on a Finder level within the operating system with multiple projects, the challenge there is that if you just need to grab a sequence from an older project and bring that sequence over into a new project that you're cutting, it not only brings over the sequence, it has to bring over all the clips, all the different master clips. And it's very easy to get duplicated clips as you're moving around. So we thought it'd be cool to have an organizational level above a project, something that would let you take a bunch of projects, kind of group them together in a way that you can keep one copy of your clips and reference that across multiple projects, across multiple timelines. And it opens up some really cool workflows, including color workflows, editorial workflows. And again, it gets rid of any possibility of having duplicate master clips floating around in your project.
Yeah, so the pain points are if you have assets that you use repeatedly, like transitions, titles, music, video, stock footage, you can have a project, that has all of them and not have to duplicate them for every project. Number two, it just keeps everything organized so it's not messy. And number three, it gets rid of project bloat, right? One file,
Absolutely.
Depending on, are you doing a documentary that took you months to shoot, that file could open forever. So this way you can have multiple projects open, and use the same assets across different projects. So Mary, you had those same pain points happening pretty early on in your channel. How did you use productions to help you organize your media and just stay on track?
Well, yeah, I think in all the ways y'all mentioned, and I think that more and more people are not, okay, well, in the beginning of our business, we used to get hired all the time for the general introductory about video that clients would use for maybe 3 years max, but then more and more they were spending less money on that because, a video only has so much shelf life. People are doing short form episodic content. And for a YouTube channel, or particularly for this course where I have a lot of lessons that are all under the umbrella of the same branding, I'm using repeat assets over and over, like you said, titles, transitions, etc. and I didn't want to import those every single time. It was hard to keep those assets updated and synced across all my projects. So I just have that one project, all my favorites, pull it into every other one, and it works perfectly. Also, because this is interwoven content, and I think more and more creators are doing that as well, I'm referencing past lessons in the lesson that I'm working on now. I love that I can reference a clip in another project that's not even open. I don't have to load everything else in that project that I don't need. There's no duplicates. And I think for my sanity, just seeing everything clean and organized on the screen, that's also just more productive.
Yeah, absolutely. Carl, do you have anything to add to that?
No, definitely. If you you know, as we were saying, the whole concept of having everything open at a glance, you know, particularly as you're you know, doing callbacks and you're doing you know, this content where, you know, you're pulling from one show and another show, and you're taking some of the behind the scenes and putting that in and putting it all together. Having multiple projects on a Finder level can get kind of confusing, and it is really, really nice to be able to just kind of go through a production. You can have a folder called episode, or a folder with the name of the show. Within that, you can have a folder called episodes, and within that, you can have a project for each of the different episodes. So it's very, very easy to go in and say, oh, we need some footage from episode 6. Let me just double click on that. Let me just drag what I need across, or maybe I'll make a copy of the episode and put it into my current edited project so that I have a sequence, so I can do some pancake editing and put the sequence and put the you know, there's so many different ways. It really just opens up a lot of different workflows, and that's why we want to make sure it was definitely developed to meet the rigors of dealing with, you know, hundreds of thousands of assets. I think Deadpool had like 750,000 clips if you were to get through all of the visual effects revisions and everything else. So it's really been, the whole idea was it was really put through its paces with, you know, incredibly large amounts of assets. And now anybody doing, you know, any type of content, episodic content, it's just perfect for that. And we want to make sure that we get that message across as well.
Yeah, and on top of that, not only productions, but just today in the live stream, we're going to show you not just how to use productions, but how to organize it on a Finder level, on a File Explorer level, and also how to rename your clips. I know, Mary, you've run into issues with that as well, right? Where all of your clips were the same exact name.
The same exact name. Yeah, don't do what I did. And then if anything ever becomes unlinked, then you don't know which one of those 1.mp4 files, like I have hundreds of those. That was a mess. But I also think that I just wanted to say, whenever I try a new feature in Premiere or in any program, I'm always really scared that it's going to have stability issues. And that's the last thing I need as an editor, because I've already, you know, everything's already so tight timeline-wise. And I have been really impressed with how stable this is. It sounded like this sophisticated, ideal feature. I'm like, yeah, okay. But when I've gotten in there, I haven't had any crashes or anything. I've been very pleased on that end.
Yeah, me too. So we're about to get into it. Mary, if people want to find you on the internet, if they want to go to your YouTube channel, watch your stuff, follow you on Instagram, where do they go?
So my username is Go Mary Betsy, and on all the channels. And then you can just search for Mary Betsy on YouTube, and you should see my face pop up somewhere.
That sounds great. Well, thank you so much, Mary. I love following you, and I'm going to follow you from now on. So thank you so much. Bye.
Thank y'all for having me. I'll see y'all later.
All right, so that was our chat with Mary Betsy. Now, this is like the critical stage of our whole turnaround, because Carl has to now turn on like a thing where we can see a screen and all that. So before we do that, before we get going, I want to show you a couple of things on my own computer. So let's get into it right here. Bam, bam. All right, so here you can see my computer. This is my hard drive organization that I had for a project, for a documentary project that I shot last year across 7 to 10 different countries. I forgot how many countries we were in, but it took months to shoot. So let me show you exactly what that looks like. Right here under the assets, first of all, this is my main folder organization. So let's take a look at it. Let's make sure that the icons are extra large, and let's view it as, oh, my computer is freezing. That's cool. Let me just pop on over here for a sec and restart my file explorer because it died. How sad. I know, it sometimes happens. In the meantime, if you want to see the entire workflow, everything, you can go to adobe.ly/tipstuesday. That is a secret link that is just for you. And if you go there, you'll be able to see all of the notes that I wrote for this class, and you'll be entered for a chance to win 12 months of Creative Cloud, which is a full year of Creative Cloud, which is a great value, and it's amazing. So, all right, we're here, we're back. Let's get it. Here I am. Okay, so here I am in my project, and we have our assets up here, our sound, our Premiere, everything is named and numbered in a way that you'll be able to see it very, very clearly and find it later. And then if we go into our assets folder, I have named everything for the shoot day. So these are dailies. I have named everything. Let's see if I can zoom in. Yeah. For the shoot day, and then underscore whatever that place was. So this was Kuala Lumpur, this was Osaka, Nara. If it was just one location, I just did the name of it. But if it was multiple, if it was like multiple days in Kyoto, I would just write Kyoto, and then I would give it the name of whatever it was that day. Shrines, this is with a craftsman. And then if you go into each one, I have subfolders, footage, audio. I made an audio copy just in case, and then photos. So if you go into the footage folder, give it a second to pull up, you can see every single one of these clips is named after what was going on that day. So it has the name, it has the location, Kyoto, it has shrines, then an underscore, then the camera name. So this was the DJI, which was the drone. And then here we have XT3-1, which is the first XT3, but we used several XT3s. So here's XT3-2, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So how do you do this when all of your clips are named like C001, C002? It's very easy to do with Adobe Bridge. So here I am in Bridge, and all you do is load it up, and here in your main content, you just find the folder that you want to rename. So in this case, let's go to my latest one. I took some headshots the other day, and I also took some behind the scenes photos. So here I have the same thing. I did 01 footage, 02 audio. They're numbered so that they're in order. So if we go in footage, and then we have the camera footage here, Fuji and Sony, we can go into Sony, and here are all of my clips. So I'll just go ahead and select all of them. Right click, yes. Oh boy, there we go. Cancel, I don't want to open. And then go to batch rename right here. Batch rename. One sec. Let me turn on. I don't know why my zoom tool is not working. So maybe I gotta restart it. There we go. Okay, so there we go. So I'll right click, do batch rename, and then it pulls up this window here, the batch rename dialog window, and it says, okay, so do you want to rename it in the same folder? I say yes. Okay, what is my new file name going to be? And you can put in these different fields. So let's start with just one field. That's the current file name. So my current file name is C001 and my new file name is C001. Cool, that's fine, that works for me. But I'm gonna add another field above, or yeah, I'm gonna add another field above this one. Actually, let's do this. This is current file name. Instead of this one, I'm going to do text, and I'm going to type in the text. I'm going to type in the day, which was yesterday, so 20/07/20 underscore. And then I'm going to add another field, also text, and I'm going to call it cam underscore. And then I'm going to add another field, and I'm going to call it Sony underscore. So that way you know what day it was, that it was camera footage, not behind the scenes footage, that it was from the Sony camera, and then I can go ahead and batch rename all of these to that. And then if I go back to camera, I can now give it a sec. I don't know why my computer's decided that today's going to be the day that it ruins me. So here's the Fuji files, so I can select all the Fuji files. Whenever they decide that they want to be selected, of course. This is not like it's a live tutorial or anything. Very chill. All right. Sure. Okay, great. Now I've selected them. Right click again, go to batch rename. And then this time, instead of Sony, I'm going to type in Fuji. That's why I did these in multiple ways. So I'm going to say Fuji underscore. So now it shows me what my new file name is, cam underscore Fuji. And then I'm going to click rename. So that's how I do it for everything. So that's why something like this can be super organized. And I will actually do this on set. So I'll actually do this on the day so that it's easier for me to organize it all later. Again, if you would like all of this information, you can go to adobe.ly/tipstuesday, and there you can see all of the things together. Just give me 1 second. Let me adjust things really quickly and make sure that we all are on screen at the same time, me and Carl. Let's do 1 sec. All right, that is just me. And then if I move myself behind, oh my goodness, let's see here, there we go.
I don't know any what you're going through right now, Valentina. I used to be a tech director and a switcher operator, and occasionally the host that I used to work with would want to take a live feed from the control room, and it was like,
all right, well, hopefully you can see me now. Let me know if you can see me. Write a purple heart in the chat room, and that way I know that you can see me. This may, this is hard to do, everybody, just so you know that this is very, very difficult to do. So the fact that I can do it somehow is pretty impressive. So if you can see me, just let me know by writing in the chat room that you can see me. Looks like I'm back. Whew. Oh, wow. I was able to rejoin the same exact stream too. This is insane. This was like my heart. You have no idea. My heart was racing like so much. Here's what happened. The program that I use to broadcast just quit on me, just died. So I thought I had lost everything, but I didn't. So we're just waiting for Carl to come back because he has to rejoin the broadcast. But like I said before, something that to check out is, oh, there he is. He's back. So just give me a second to, let's see here. Just give me a second to set things back up so that everything works out. 1 moment, please.
Alrighty.
This is intense. Do 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 do. Okay, okay. Let's do this. All right. Ooh. Okay, let's do it. Here we go. This is Carl. Here we go. Can you hear us? Can you see us, everybody? Let us know if you can hear us.
I can hear you. I can see you. I'm still in the process of getting my screen up as a separate input here. I'm going to try this one more time here.
I am Natho asks, what software am I using for broadcast? It's called Wirecast, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, but it's worked 10 times now. This is the first time that has happened. But, you know, stuff happens, and you can never predict. For real, you can never predict if anything's going to go wrong. So, yeah. It happens.
All right. Let's see if I type in, let's just call this one screen.
There you are in the corner there. And yeah, we're just waiting for Carl to get his screen up so that we can see what's on his screen. Because we're going to be talking about productions, and I really want you guys to see it. And because we had a boost, we might be running a little bit late, but that's totally fine. Don't worry about it.
Let me try this one more time. It seems to, when I go to share screen, I'm getting a black screen and not actually getting my screen share here. So I'm going to quit out one more time.
Okay.
And if this does not work,
we'll just swap your face out for your screen, and it'll be no problem at all. So don't worry about it.
All right. Okay.
There's an echo. There's a lot of echo on Carl. That's because he's in here twice, perhaps. Let's see. People are saying there's a lot of echo on you.
Yeah, that's probably...
Can you check if this is better? Is this better? Like I said, it's pretty difficult to be doing all this together. So if this is better, let us know. Carl, can you talk? Give us a little test.
Check 1 2 1 2 3 4. Let's see.
Okay.
And I am... Ooh, that looks like it might be working. And I've got the microphone muted. Okay. And now let me try screen.
Ooh, I'm glad
and
that
hit one more button.
Let me know. For now, there we go. Hold on one sec. All right. Do. We're gonna make it work. We're gonna make it work for sure. That's what we're gonna do. Okay. Ooh, and bam. Can you see us? Can you hear us? We have Carl's actual screen. We have Carl. I think we just did it.
I think the stars align. The technology gods are liking us for a change. I'm going to knock wood on that one. Nothing like doing a live demo. And I got to say, for what you're doing, I don't know if you could hear this before the feed cut out the last time, but you know, once upon a time in a past life, I was actually a tech director as well. I used to do live events and was involved in like some very, very early days of live streaming when our ultra high res feed was a whopping 320 by 240. So yeah, I'm old. It didn't deal with it. It's
I hear you that Carl is too loud. I'm turning him down in volume. You should be better now.
Okay, let me try. Let me see now. How is that?
Yeah, I turned you down, so don't worry about it.
Okay. All right, cool. All right, looks like 2 of us are on the screen now, and my laptop is actually on the screen. And when I'm clicking, I can't tell from my feed. Yep, it looks like I can see my mouse as well. Okay. Awesome. I think we're ready.
Thank you, everybody, for bearing with us. You deserve everything. But this is going to be worth it, I promise.
Okay. Yeah, what I want to actually showcase and talk a little bit about is this idea of setting up a production and what exactly a production is. A production is, for lack of a better term, it is a folder that contains projects, and it contains subfolders that can also contain projects. That's really all you want to have in your production, is you want to have folders, subfolders, and Premiere project files. And by setting up a production, we actually make it easier to create projects, because you don't have to worry about certain settings are handled for the entire production rather than having to set them up on a project by project basis. So as far as setting up a now, and I'm just going to go ahead and choose to close the production, and this will also close the projects within that production here. And what I'm going to do is actually just quickly show you, to create a new production, go to File, New Production. And what you want to do is point this at a directory. In this case, I'll call this one, today is Tuesday. And I'll click Create. And what this does is it creates a folder that you can actually access on the Finder level. Here is my new production. It creates a blank project within that so that I can dive in and get going. But at this point, I can start to use the buttons to create additional projects and additional folders. And best of all of the settings are handled on a production level. So when you create a new production, you can go to Production Settings and change these values if necessary. But for those who have been working in Premiere for a while, every time you create a project, it gives you this sort of scary dialogue with a bunch of different choices on it. You have to manage your scratch disks and other things. These are now all managed on a production-wide level. So whenever I create a new project, it's as simple as clicking this New button, and all I have to do is type in a name. So right there, it saves you a bit of time as far as the organization of a group of projects are concerned when you're working on this. I'm going to show you one little advanced tip that I've figured out. If you have a particular organization that you like to use over and over again, I have, if I were to go to my Finder here, I have on the Finder, I've created a folder here that I have called Template. Let me see if I can zoom in there. There we go. Valentina, is that zoomed in on your screen?
I'm not seeing it zoomed in. No,
okay.
I'm not seeing it zoomed in.
Okay. Sometimes it depends on the system we're using here. Let me just make sure. Can you, if you can, you should be able to see. I'll just kind of expand this out a little bit
What's
here.
What's interesting that's happening is that the right side of your screen seems to be delayed. Or maybe you have two windows open? Is that what's happening?
No, it's actually should be one.
Could you move your window to the right? Yeah, it's kind of like hiding behind. Do me a favor.
Interesting.
On your desktop version of the login, can you just quickly log out and then log in using that same exact link? And then hopefully that'll just restart.
Okay, we'll give that a shot.
Yeah. Let's try that.
Technology can be a bit of a challenge. Here we go. Let's try that one more time.
Yep. Technology, y'all, technology is a thing. Also, just to have you know that both Carl and I are located in West LA, which has been having some major internet outages as well, as of late. So, of course, that doesn't help. But yeah, so while Carl gets all that up, I'll open a production as well. Well, no, what I'll do is I'll actually open a project that I'll actually show you what's been going on over on my computer.
There we go.
Oh, okay. Carl got his thing back, so never mind. Let's do that. Here we go. Okay, so we are now seeing your full computer, Carl. Everything's working.
Okay, and let me just see if the zoom function maybe works this time, maybe not. I think maybe the Zoom itself might be breaking things. Let me try moving this around on the screen one more
that
time.
broke it. That broke it.
Okay.
So it was perhaps the Zoom that broke it.
I tell you what, Valentina, do you have a shot of just my camera? I'm thinking we're going to punt on the 2-up display, and I'm just going to go to a screen share on this other machine
absolutely.
here.
Just swap it on over, and we'll go ahead and do that. I think that makes a lot of sense. So the only thing is, Carl, just make sure that your audio is coming from your microphone instead.
Yeah.
There we go. Now we hear you. And you know what? I'm going to put myself in the corner. How about that? There we go. So you hear Carl, but you see me. Perfect.
All right. Now, let me bring up my Finder window here. We'll just kill this. There we go.
I see your mouse highlight. Yes.
All right, good. And now let me see if I can get Premiere up. There's Premiere.
Yep. Thank you for sticking with us, everybody.
And thank you, guys. Yeah, much appreciated. With you can tell it's live. This is no recording here. Okay. So very, very quickly, I have this template that I've created here. Now, this is just a way of kind of, if you do have a common organization that you use and you make productions, you need to make a production, and you typically like to have the same folders and subfolders. Why not build all that out one time and then reuse it as necessary? Yes. So what I have here is, this is just a common organizational structure that I would use for like a short film if I was doing different types of short films. And I wanted to kind of organize this into a production so that, I could easily find what I'm looking for. What I can do on the Finder level ahead of time is take this folder, and I'm just going to make a copy of it, and I'm going to call this one Valentina. And with this copy, when I go back to Premiere Pro, I'm going to do a file. Instead of doing a new production, I'm actually going to choose Open Production. And instead of picking from this drop-down list of different productions that I've been working on here, I'm going to click Browse. And in the Browse window, I'm going to point at that top-level folder called Valentina.
So you can turn any folder into a production?
Absolutely. Yeah, by doing this, I do recommend doing this just with folder structures. If you do it with a bunch of projects, it's not going to go through and like convert those projects if they're older. It doesn't do some of the housekeeping that's usually necessary. Excuse me. But it's a wonderful way of reutilizing the same folder structure so that you're not recreating that each and every time. It just makes for just a little bit of a shortcut. So now when I click Choose, Premiere is going to say, hey, this is not a production. Do you want to convert it to a production? I'll go ahead and say Convert. And now at this point, I have a wonderful starting location here where I've got folders, I've got some subfolders, I've got everything kind of ready to go. And now I can start to add my projects or make new projects and start to add my media to those projects. So it's a nice little shortcut. It's a nice little thing to be aware of. Now, that said, I don't want to spend a lot of time importing a bunch of media, and I've already got a production that I want to jump in and kind of show you guys a couple of quick things here. So I want to show you the main advantage of working inside of a production. And to do that, I'm going to open up this production here. Let me open up a couple of projects that I have with some footage, and I'll show you exactly what I have here. So when I'm inside of a production, the first thing to note is there's a production panel. Oh, I'm just moving some stuff around here. I'm kind of getting myself organized the way I want to work. Get that set up there. Good.
By the way, if anybody has any questions, please do leave them in the chat, and I'll be able to ask Carl those questions. If you're confused or lost at any point, don't worry. We can explain it further. Don't worry.
Yep. So what I have organized here is in this production. This is a production with a bunch of different promos that were cut for various things that were done for Adobe. So I used some existing approved footage from some different trailers, from some different little promotional pieces that were done for the Adobe video team. And I've put a production together. And the basic idea with this, the cool thing about this is you can organize clips and sequences into separate projects. Now, the advantage of doing this, if you make different cuts and alternate cuts and things like that, you can have a project within your production that's really nice and clean. You'll notice that this project down here, what's missing? Usually you would have folders, subfolders, you'd have a lot of clips, right? Mm-hmm. The clips for this timeline, if I double click on this remix timeline and just kind of open this up a little bit here, these clips actually live in a completely separate Premiere Pro project, but they're linked together. So if I right click on a clip here and say reveal this clip in the project, it's actually, it actually will open up in the other project. And that's part of the big advantage of this. So as an example, I'm going to use these approved footage projects, and I've got a couple of them here that I'm going to work with. Here, let's open up this additional project. Oh, these are not online. Oh, they will be. This is just taking a second for my system to build out the thumbnails. So you can see I've got a couple of different projects. I've got these organized in a couple of different ways. Here I'm using sort of the freeform layout to kind of organize some different clips. We'll just kind of zoom out on that a little bit so you can see I've got, you know, kind of a different layout of different clips in different areas here. I've got this project with a bunch of different clips. I'm going to go down to my remix folder here, and I'm going to make a new project. And again, all I have to do is type in a name. It makes a brand new project for me. And now with that project selected, I'm going to go ahead and create a new sequence to edit with. I'll just pick one of my favorites here. Nothing fancy. And now I can actually start to work. I'll drag and drop this project down here. This is my new editing sequence. It just lives by itself in this project, and I can call this one V promo. And now, as I pick from clips, I can be picking from other projects. So if I have a shot here that I like, I can take this and drag it and drop it down into my timeline. If I go over to this other project from the, this is a documentary on the Wu-Tang Clan, I can take this, drag this and drop it down, and I start cutting this footage together. There's no clip showing up in this project. These clips
so your project is just sequences. There's no clips. Sorry. Yeah, your project is just sequences. There's no clips in there. Your clips all live in another project that is just clips. So this way you can create different projects for dailies. You can create different projects for your lower thirds. You can create different projects like for your promos and for your elements that you reuse all the time. There's it's just a different way of thinking about it that's not based on what the sequences are or what assets are in which project. Now you could have different assets across different Premiere Pro projects. As long as they're in that one production, you can use them across. I don't know, like, I feel like I'm not communicating how mind-blowingly brilliant this is, how like this is going to change your life.
Well, I love the document that you put together actually shows this. And in fact, you've used a similar organizational technique, but more on the Finder level to have multiple projects and stay really, really organized on the Finder level. But the challenge there comes in is if I'm working in this Valentina promo and I suddenly say, you know what, I want to grab this the edit from this Sundance promo that we did, and I want to just make a copy of this into my project, if I drag and drop a sequence from one project into another project, boom, not only do you get the project, you get all of the clips that were on that timeline. So it starts to clutter up your project, and the project starts to kind of bloat up with a bunch of these duplicates as you're moving things around. In this case, I can actually drag a copy of this sequence, and I'll just hold down the command key while I drag it so that it actually makes a copy. And you can see it's copied over the sequence. There's no additional clips. There's nothing hidden in my project. It's literally just copying that sequence over into this project so that I can work on it here. And I can keep the copy of it that's in this, the Sundance trailer here. I can actually keep that separated. And now I have a separate copy of this that if I want to do, pancake timeline this and start to like drag stuff from one sequence to another, I can do that.
Now, Carl, what about finding clips? Now you say we don't have clips in this project. This is just sequences, right? And you have a few clips there on the timeline. What if you want to find where that clip lives?
That's a great question. So yeah, I've got a couple of clips here. I've got this one shot here, and let's say I want to find this. Now, to make it even more difficult, I'm going to close out a bunch of these different footage projects that I've created here. We'll just close this one out. We'll close this one out. All right, so now I'm back to, I've only got this Valentina project open, and then I think I've got the Wu-Tang sequence project open here.
And how can you tell which projects are open?
Just by looking inside of the production panel here. If you look at the icons over on this side, you'll see any icon that is filled in, has a green pencil, means I've got it open and I can make changes to it. If you've got a project you want to work on and you want to make sure that you don't accidentally like add something to it or make changes to it, if you hold down the command key, when you double click on it, it will open, but it'll stay locked. Let me show a better example. That one's empty there. We'll go open this one. So this has, you can see there's a lock icon down here. I can still grab some of these clips if I wanted to add an additional shot from this into my sequence. I could come up here, take this shot, for example, grab it, drag it, and drop it into my project. I can still use these as sources, but I can't accidentally move something around. I can't accidentally come in here and delete anything. It is locked. If I need to make changes, I click this red lock down in the corner here, and it goes to a green pencil. I see the green pencil here, and now I can make changes, I can edit it. But it's kind of a nice little safety feature for a solo editor. And when we get into like, on-premise collaboration, this is what prevents people from overwriting each other's work. So this has collaborative functionality built into it as well. But even for a solo editor, it's kind of nice sometimes to open up something in a read-only state.
So I think you were about to show us how to find a clip that you don't know where the location is.
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and close this project again. Let's say I just opened up the production. I just opened up this Valentina promo project, and I need to find this particular clip somewhere in my project. By right-clicking on this, I can choose Reveal in Project. It will find that project, and it will highlight the clip in question for me right there. That's it. That's the clip I needed.
So you never lose any clips.
There's never any process of losing anything. It will always get you right where you need to be, so that there's never any question.
Carl, I'm just going to pause you. For those people who are just joining the chat, we're going to run a little bit over the time limit, and that's totally fine because we had a couple of snafus that happened. But I do want to let you know that if you go to this website, adobe.ly/tipstuesday, right here, you'll be able to get the full workbook, which means, or the full manual, which means that everything that Carl and I are talking about, from how to batch rename your clips to how to create a production, is in there. I made it for you. I made this for you. So you can take a look at what it looks like. I have it pulled up here. Organize your editing for speed. So it'll show you exactly how to batch rename, how to create a production, what everything means in the panel. I annotated it, how to create it, how to create new folders, how to add existing projects, make copies of projects. Everything is there for you. So if you want to go, it's adobe.ly/tips Tuesday, and you can go see it there. And I just wanted to tell people that you can also go and enter for a chance to win a full year of Creative Cloud. Last week's winner is Benjamin Vanderlinden. So congratulations, Benjamin. You have won a full year, 12 months of Creative Cloud. For those of you who want to stick around, we have a couple more things to show you. Carl and I, well, Carl on his computer and me with my face. But I do understand that we've hit upon like the 12 o'clock. So if you, I feel like you want to hear what we have to say. So please do stick around. All right. So let's go back.
For Luke, I'm sorry if I mispronounced your last name. Is it Grigg?
It's Greg.
Luke he asked about how this would be really useful for creating reels as well. And that's actually what it was designed for. This was designed with feature films in mind, so that if you want to organize, the workflow on Terminator, for example, every day of dailies, as the dailies were coming in, the assistant editor created a project, threw everything into the dailies project. So they had a bunch of projects from day 1 to day 153. That was a long shoot. And then from there, the assistant would then take the footage and do the audio video sync, create multicams, and then he would move the multicams into various scenes, and every scene had its own project. So at that point, the assistant editor could say, hey, scene 23 is ready to go. The lead editor in the other room would then open up scene 23 and could cut that scene together. And that's basically how they work. They went from scene projects to real projects, and then they created projects for final output. So it's definitely got feature film workflows in mind. But again, episodic, what I'm showing here is more about keeping one big production for all your promos to make it easy to kind of pull footage from different things. Same thing with episodic workflows. It also allows you, if you have taken the time.
Do you want to switch it to your face, maybe?
I'm right at the point I want to show one quick thing here.
Okay.
No worries. And that is adding a project to the production. This is an important step because if you have projects that are reusable elements, like I've got a folder that Jason Levine put together a series of loopable music clips for me. And so he was able to share a Premiere project with me. To add a project to the production, I simply right-click on, in this case, on the folder that I want to put it in, say Add Project to Production, and then I'm just going to quickly do a search here for Loops 2020. Here I've got a copy of it. I'll just click Open. And by doing this, this actually makes a copy of the production, and it also does some nice housekeeping work under the hood, where it actually makes sure that it'll upgrade the copy as you import it, so that what comes in is the latest and greatest. If Premiere, if this project was made 2 or 3 years ago, it might come from an older version of Premiere. And if you've ever done that, in past versions, there's always that window that comes up that says, hey, we've got to upgrade and make a copy of your project, and you want to put an _1 next to the name and all of that. We just kind of manage all that and handle it for you so that it just gets imported into the production. And now I can double click, open this up. I've got all my organized loops folders here with different 30 and 15 second loopable pieces of music that Jason Levine created. So any type of reusable elements, whether you've got, complicated intros and outros that have been cut together in sequences, this is a nice tip to remember. And the last thing I really quickly want to show you is, we mentioned at the beginning of this that this is a folder that lives on your operating system, on the Finder or within Windows. If I reveal this production on the Finder, it will actually take me to the production folder itself, and there's a one-to-one relationship between the production and what you see in the Finder. So if I see a particular project, like this one is called Sundance down here at the bottom, if I drag this and move it into the Sundance promo folder here, when I look on Finder, it will have moved it into the Sundance promo folder. It is a one-to-one relationship. If I rename something in the Finder, excuse me, it'll rename it in the production window. So, because of that, it gives you an extra level of security, knowing that anything you do here is going to be reflected on the Finder. And these are still standalone projects. You can actually take one out of the production, or copy one out of the production folder, open it independently, and it'll still operate as a Premiere Pro project.
That's really cool that you can do that. And that'll just update for you. What happens when you delete something?
So the way we designed the production folder, you'll notice that there is a trash listed down here at the bottom. So let's say instead of moving this, I wanted to get rid of this Sundance project. We've actually broken this apart. We've done other things to it. I don't need this anymore. I can drag it and drop it into the trash, and you can see there's a copy of that Loops project as well as down there. Again, if I go to the Finder level, there is a trash folder, and to permanently get rid of this, I would have to come in here and actually empty this, by moving these to the trash on the Finder level. So we're trying to follow the same general guideline of Premiere of being non-destructive, meaning we make it very, very difficult to do anything that would ever delete clips or harm what you're working on. So that extra trash folder, you have to move it from the production trash folder to the regular trash folder, and then empty the trash to really, permanently delete those projects. We try and make them a little bit sticky, so that there's no chance somebody can delete something and cause havoc.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Carl, if you don't mind turning your camera back on, and I'm gonna switch over to both of us on screen, because I actually, unbeknownst to you, created a production just the other day that I think I want you to take a look at and let me know if I did it right or not. I think that would be pretty fun. So let me just switch over here. Now you're seeing my computer, and I'm in the corner, and I'm trying to get myself. Hold on. Where am I? One quick thing. It's hard to do. It's hard to rearrange everything, but I think I got it. And blam. Okay, so here we both are, and you can see my computer. And if you take a look, I have this project here. Let me go into it. It's a review for an egg cooker. So I'm pretending that I'm a YouTuber here. And it is, I have my little intro here. Oh, I hear a double. Is there a double audio of some sort? I don't think so. I think I should have turned everything off. No, I think it should be fine. Okay, so I'm pretending I'm a YouTuber here, and here I do a little intro. I turned the audio off of the computer so that you won't actually see it, but I do a little intro, and then I actually need that intro graphic before I go ahead and get into the main content. So this is where the intro graphic would go, and then I'm into my main content. Now, let's just say that I use intro graphics across a lot of different projects. You can see here in my project, this is called Project 03 Egg Cooker Review, right? And all I have here are my footage, my audio, and my sequences. So my footage, I have camera A, camera B, camera C. So all three cameras. Then for audio, I have audio. For sequences, instead of keeping, sequences for every single episode I'm going to have on my YouTube channel, or every single review video I'm going to have on my YouTube channel, I have it for all of my different steps, right? So this is my assembly, then I synced it, then I have my first cut. So I'm doing this by, I'm making new sequences for every step so that if I mess up a step, I can go back a step, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to go to this audio done, which is right here, egg review audio done, and I need this graphic. but I've made a production here. So right now, my working projects, I'm working on the egg cooker review, right? But here I have past episodes and I've split this up into subfolders because maybe my YouTube channel has multiple series on it. It has reviews, it has cooking demos, it has food basics. So if I go into food basics, I have an episode about rice, I have an episode about beans. If I go into cooking demos, I have an episode about shrimp scramble recipe, tuna salad recipe. If I want to open the tuna salad recipe, I double click it. This becomes fully converted into a full, it becomes filled in. Yes. And if I want to open the tuna salad recipe project, here I have my sequences as well. I can go ahead and open the tuna salad recipe, yada, yada, yada. But we're still working on the egg cooker review. So I'm here in egg cooker, and I still want that intro that's slotted to be right in this little hole. But luckily, I've also made a sequence that has reusable assets, and I have a couple of them. I have audio, graphics, and stock footage. So I'll go to my graphics project for reusable assets, and here I have some sequences as well. I have my end card, my lower thirds, my miscellaneous, show intro, etc. So let's go into show intro, and here's my show intro. This is what it looks like. New Food Tuesdays, episode 12 or whatever. So I can just go back into the egg review. This is, again, a completely different project. Not a different sequence, a different project. And then I'm just going to drag the show intro into here. That's it. That's a sequence from one project into another project. I trim it, and now my little show intro is complete. And it's in here. I can do things like transitions, or I could put an end card on it, and all of them are kept in a separate project entirely so that they don't bloat my current project. So that's really cool. Actually, I can kind of overlay it probably like that. Let's do that. Let's see, because it does have an overlay. So even like the overlays are kept and everything like that. So yeah.
That looks fantastic.
That's a good way to use it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Any reusable elements, and this also lends itself, for advanced Premiere users that use things like pancake timelines or loading timelines in the source monitor and using like insert and overwrite to cut through from them. What's really cool about it is it means you keep one copy of those master clips, live in one area in one project. If you were actually to go back into that sequence and start to, tinker around with it, change the colors around, add something for, an upcoming holiday or something like that, you could do that, and it would ripple through to the locations. Even if you were to export, other projects back out, it would reflect that. So it's a really nice way of, keeping all of, it's just a better way of organization. It's, it seems like a complicated subject, but the reason for that is, the demonstrations that we typically do, where productions really shines is when you start talking about a lot of media or a lot of assets, or reusing the same assets for different content, or being able to kind of remix stuff back together again. If you're dealing with different episodes and you want to make a clip show that borrows from multiple episodes or multiple series, a production is just the right way to organize it, because each individual element stays organized, but then you have a bigger organization as a whole over the top of it. As somebody who struggles with organization on occasion, I have to say that, productions just kind of naturally keeps me more organized. And I think a lot of people will benefit from it.
Yeah, some people in the chat room are saying it's also great for duplicate clips in case you don't want to duplicate clips. You don't want to have second copies of things. You want everything to link back to an original copy. This is a perfect way to do that. And on the flip side, like you said, if you want to add something like a master color effect to the original clip, that master effect is going to last through the entire thing. So if you are someone who shoots in log, for example, you shoot a flat picture profile and you are an assistant editor, you want your editor to view things in like full Rec 709, you can add that LUT, you can add those effects to the original clips, and then those are already brought into every single project and every single sequence. And you can, of course, change them later, but this way you don't have to add that same LUT, that same color effect every single time to every single clip in every single sequence. So this is super, super helpful. Thank you so much, Carl, for coming on. I know there's a whole nother part of this workflow that is intended for people who are on shared storage solutions, for people who are working across multiple devices. Where should people get more information if they are so inclined?
Well, one of the best things to do is actually just dig right into the help documentation. The film team, some of the people who put this together, including one of my colleagues, Matt Christensen, did a fantastic job of really getting in and documenting a lot to do with productions. So the first place I would definitely recommend is just dive right into the help. There's a downloadable PDF, and I know from your links, you've actually linked to that PDF that
Yes.
has a lot about productions. Beyond that,
So if people go to adobe.ly/tips Tuesday, you can get my PDF, and in the first page, I give you the link to the big PDF for all of productions.
Yeah, it's about 20 pages, and so if you have any questions, we wrote it with people doing feature films in mind, so that we really give you a lot of the nitty-gritty on exactly how it works under the hood, how the collaboration components work. So it's a really, really good resource. The other thing I'd also recommend, if you check out Jason Levine's live streams, he and I have been doing roughly about every 2 to 3 weeks. We do a segment where we kind of cover some of the higher end workflows. So we've done a couple of deep dives into productions as well. So anybody who's coming from a feature film background and wants more of an understanding of like how the collaboration works, who works on what, when, we kind of did leave that out today because we wanted to make this more focused about people, just, a single user that's going in and creating and delivering content and how they could benefit from productions. But there's definitely a collaboration component in mind, and Jason and I have covered that a lot on his channel.
Yeah. So there you go. Absolutely. Go check that out. That is on, where are those live streams? Where do they live? On Facebook, on YouTube?
They're on all of Jason's sites, so you can find them on Facebook, Behance, Twitter, YouTube, and I can put some links to some of the relevant ones in my Twitter stream. If you know my first and last name, I'm at Carl Soule, so I'm easy to find on Twitter. I'll be happy to repost some of the links to those.
There you go. So follow Carl Soule. His name is on the screen right now. And if you want, you can follow me. You don't have to, but I'm just saying if you want. Until then, until next week, where we cover more fun stuff, we do more hands-on live tutorials, this time without the technical malfunctions, because we're not going to need to share the screen of a guest. Come on back next Tuesday. Until then, thank you so much, Carl, for joining me. And
thank you for the opportunity.
Of
Awesome.
course. Of course. Thank you for helping me learn more about productions, because this was mind-blowing to me, and now I'm never going to not use them. So
Awesome.
All right, everybody. Bye. Have a great rest of your Tuesday. Bye.
Bye.